Okay, yeah. So recently we released app platform V12, which comes with some nice new upgrades, including now we use Vite under the hood to build and start apps, which is a lot faster and opens up a lot of configuration opportunities for us in the future, which we're excited about. Plus, we moved to React 18, and that's kind of been a long time coming, but now React 19 is out, so we have one more to upgrade to. But for now, this will be a nice upgrade, and it brings some performance benefits and modernization to apps. And so there's this release um, announcement that we have on the blog on the developer portal here, which just has a little introduction to what's going on and like a little taste of how to start using it. We can run just a couple of scripts in most apps. We should be up and running, and I'll show a little demo of what that looks like. And I'll be talking a bit about like the migration process um, to move, especially to React 18. Moving to support Vite is relatively easy. There's just like a file type change that we have a script to automate. And then there's some things that React 18 has uh, that tests need to be adapted for. And so that announcement links to this migration guide, which we can also find under guides and tutorials, application platform, migration, and then V12. So we have a nice kind of piecewise and detailed guide for how to upgrade your apps to the new platform. So I think a little overview of the features here is like it's fast to build with Vite. Uh, Plugins are handled a lot better. Before it was a little bit clunky with starting up kind of basically two different apps and building two different apps. And now there's really good code sharing between them. Their startup is instant, and they uh, they run on the same port, which makes using them in development a lot easier. We have some new tools in the CLI, and the build output gives you some nice summaries. And we've added some new things for TypeScript. Like you can bootstrap a TypeScript template when you're starting up the app. And if you're using DHIS2 CLI style, then that performs type checking for you. And the UI library is typed if you're using version 9 and above. So we can run these getting started steps. I have the aggregate data entry app open here. So here we're on master, and we can just start it up. I forget. Ah, one sec. We still have the dependencies from the new version from when I did a dry run of this. Um, there's yeah, so we'll install some of the new dependencies, the DHIS2 app runtime, the UI, and so before we make any changes, the current version of CLI app scripts looks like running this React scripts environment, and it takes some time to start up the app, but it's working. If we want to apply those changes, what we need to do is that first step, yarn add DHIS2 at runtime, DHIS2 UI, and development at DHIS2 CLI apps scripts. Using yarn add automatically upgrades it to the latest major version. So that's a little easier to use. I use that over upgrade sometimes. Cool. Now we have some new dependencies. We'll want to deduplicate and dxyarn deduplicate yarn.lock and yarn in case there's any duplicate dependencies for the app runtime or UI. So this will fix that up. Here we go. And then ideally, we run yarn start. What we'll have to do for now is allow JSX in JS. This is a thing for Vite because by default, they want every file that contains JSX syntax to have a .jsx extension. But we have this little workaround in the platform to get by for now. Oh yeah. Let's see, there's this resolution on DHIS2 UI and here. So we'll just fix that up. Now our app is running again with Vite, and we're live on localhost, and everything's in order. So we're already like most of the way there, and the app should be fully functional now. We can see this warning here, adding, right now we're adding Vite config to allow JSX syntax and .js files. That adds quite a lot of performance burden to Vite to start and run the apps. So we really encourage you to go ahead and migrate to .jsx files, but we have a migration script for that. And so let's see, in the docs here, JSX, we can allow it temporarily, but we have a migration script here that we've built into D2 app scripts. And there's documentation on this script specifically if there's any, yeah, any details that are interesting or you have any quirks in your repository, you can take a look at those. So we can run D2 app scripts migrate JS to JSX. And we get a little summary here. We've renamed a bunch of files. We've updated imports for those files. We didn't have to update any snapshots. And then we updated the entry points in d2 config.js to point to a JSX file. So now we should be able to run start without the JSX config. And so this should be faster and smoother, and we'll save maintaining a kind of convoluted config in the app platform in the future. And now we're up and running. And we can see that if we look at the version control, we can see a bunch of files have been renamed. So those are the basics. That's how to get Vite up and running. After that, there's some work to do on tests because React 18 kind of changes how those work. And for those, I think I'll just kind of step through the migration guide here a little bit. There's a couple changes for that. For one thing, the default props on components is deprecated, and that'll be removed in React 19. So you can move to default parameters in function components. And there's a little note here to make sure to use kind of stable references for those kinds of things so you don't trigger re-renders when those are recreated on every function call. And then for tests, you can expect some small changes in your snapshot files, but they should be basically just white space and nothing to worry about. React testing library is changed a bit. So now you have to add testing library / DOM as a peer dependency. Testing library React hooks is now kind of consolidated into testing library React. User event has changed a little bit and has become asynchronous. There's some good release notes that describe the changes there. Maybe. So you can take a look at those in detail here. But some examples of what that looks like is instead of using user event.click, you await that action. And there's a couple different changes, like instead of fire event.change, you'd use user event.type and await that as well. So that's for user events. Render hook from previously testing library React hooks, but now as part of testing library React, has a different API. It returns different things. For example, wait for will not be returned from uh, the result of render hook. Instead, you'll want to just import that from the library itself. And there's some documentation linked here that has more information about the API. Sometimes you don't need wait for anymore. And here's an example of how to test for errors. Fake timers can make things a lot easier if you're doing wait for um, type logic. And then if you're using enzyme for tests, uh, the support for that is kind of yeah non-official for React 18. And so there for a holdover, there is an unofficial adapter for React 18, but it describes itself as a very unofficial adapter, and it really would be wise to migrate to React testing library, which has a migration guide. But that adapter can be a holdover for now. The rest in here is pretty fine details about things that you might encounter or a detailed list of subtle breaking changes or deprecations. And so you can peruse that at your leisure for the specific details about migration. But that should be it for the migration steps. It should be really nice to use these new features. Being so much faster with Vite is nice, and has nice features like being able to restart the server quickly without having to uh, run the whole start script again. There's little features like opening it up in the browser or just quitting easily. So yeah, I like it a lot, and I think you'll get a lot of use out of it. Feel free to share any messages here if you have questions about the migration process. And yeah, happy coding.